Protesters nationwide are taking to the streets demanding change after a white police officer killed a black man in Minnesota. Many linking arms just an hour ago after a day of protests in Terre Haute.
We're tired, we're angry, we're disappointed, we're saddened that police won't speak up.
Hundreds marched from the courthouse to the Terre Haute Police Department headquarters demanding action. Others joined together in prayer, but still more say that's not enough. We start this evening with the latest on what's led to protests around the country, including here in the Wabash Valley. It's a story that continues to develop after the death of George Floyd. The unarmed black man died at the hands of a police officer in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The officer faced his charges. People cleaned up there today, debris still smoldering. This follows a fourth night of demonstrations. The governor of Minnesota said this morning that many of the protesters are outside agitators. He added that the violence is no longer related to Floyd's death.
Last night is a mockery of pretending this is about George Floyd's death, our inequities, our historical traumas to our communities of color. Because our communities of color and our indigenous communities were out front fighting hand in hand to save businesses that took generations to build.
Protests also continue in other United States cities today. That includes in Los Angeles, California. This aerial footage is from a Black Lives Matter protest. And the Hoosier State has also seen protests. This includes Indianapolis. Businesses had smashed windows. Some were looted. Buildings have graffiti, including Monument Circle and the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Right here in the Valley, we've been following protests all day as people demand justice for George Floyd.
It's only so much one person can do. You start feeling helpless, like your voice can't be heard.
One of those protests was today in downtown Terre Haute. Protesters gathered at the Vigo County Courthouse and then marched their way to the Terre Haute Police Department. News 10 caught up with the organizer of the protest. He says this is about justice and hoping for a better future.
We out here for George Floyd. We out here for every black life that's being lost due to a corrupt cop that's supposed to be there to protect and serve us.
A local woman says she was punched while waiting in traffic during the protest in Terre Haute. She says she was in a truck and people were blocking the road. She says she asked them to move. That's when she says someone threw water on her. Then she says someone reached through her vehicle and punched her twice. She says police took a report. Now, we confirmed with Indiana State Police that a trooper did take a report. However, there are no other details. From protests in downtown Terre Haute now to a prayer vigil outside the Vigo County Courthouse this morning. A difference in tone. People gathered to pray for George Floyd and his family. The service itself led to a bigger discussion about the root of the problem leading to protests nationwide. At least one person saying prayer is not enough.
This is a man who died in a way that was unjust.
Roughly 60 people gathered between Terre Haute City Hall and the Vigo County Courthouse to pray for George Floyd, a black man who died under the knee of a Minneapolis police officer.
Hate gives rise to or brings about more hate.
Local pastor Billy Joe Henry led the group in prayer, saying what happened to Floyd was wrong. He used the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to call for peaceful protests. His remarks about racism and segregation did not come without reaction from some in the crowd.
Because of what he sacrificed, we see it a lot less than he did.
Some of those shouts came from another local faith leader, Pastor Dwayne Malone. He says the sermon failed to address the heart of this issue, police brutality and racial injustice.
People are dying daily at the hands of a system that's crooked and nasty. Address that.
Some tried to talk to Malone about his concerns. One woman approaching him with her children, Malone saying prayer is not enough.
We've got to go a lot deeper than this. So
this is where it starts, right? So we got to do more.
This we got to do more. I don't even really want to call this a start. I came out hoping for better, and I didn't get it.
Another woman taking issue with Malone's reaction.
Why doesn't he just leave?
Well, so are we, because we were out here to support a black man and he wants to show hate with hate.
Those heated discussions led to a final prayer circle, but some still walked away frustrated and wanting more.